When I introduce myself as a farmer, the response is usually, wow, why? farming, is, farming is hard. I grew up in rural South Africa. When other children my age were out playing, I would tag along with my grandmother to go visit her friends and siblings. The visits were dominated by conversations around land and agriculture. How in the 1890s, their grandfathers bought land from British and Dutch colonialists, only to have that land taken away by the Apartheid government. Most of the time, I had no idea what they were talking about. My job was to listen and make a good pot of tea. Now and again, my grandmother would say, Kelo, if you take care of the land, it will take care of you. At 13, everything changed. My grandmother passed on, and I moved to a boarding school in the nearby city. Like most young people growing up in a village, I had no intentions of going back. I would not have to worry about taking care of the land. After graduating with a degree in finance, I started a career in banking. As my career advanced, I found myself working in a large European city. Back home, South Africa was being transformed. Nelson Mandela had been appointed the first democratic president. Apartheid was over, at least on paper. The country was forging a new path. In Europe, the constant harassment by people asking me when I would go back to Africa strengthened my resolve to go home and claim my ancestral land. It had been 105 years since the infamous Natives Land Act of 1913, an act which relegated 67% of the population by virtue of being black to only 7% of the country's landmass and reserved 93% exclusively for Europeans. Any land that was owned by blacks in the 93% was taken away. The interim constitution that was adopted in 1994 made it possible for black South Africans to claim their land back. My ancestral land, which had been taken, was returned. On the land, there was a vanadium mine. The mine company agreed to pay the landowners annual royalties. This became the preferred option for most of my family members. I wanted something else. I wanted to farm. I went back to South Africa to claim the piece of the land that had been put aside for farming. My transition to farming put me in spaces where I found myself having conversations with middle-aged Afrikaans white men who did not understand why I wanted to farm, something they considered was their exclusive domain. I went looking for women who were farmers. I listened to their stories. Women are critical for food security. In most developing countries, they are responsible for nutrition at a household level through producing, purchasing, and preparing the food. If we invest in female farmers, we could increase yields on their farms by up to 30% and lift up to 105 million people out of poverty. This according to the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization. Whether I was talking to women from Mozambique, South Africa, Botswana, or Tanzania, there was a constant thread: access to land and finance. Here's the thing. Without land, women are cut from access to finance. Without credit, they're not able to buy seeds, fertilizers, machinery, or improve the land that they farm. Investing in female farmers is probably the most important things that one can do in places like Southern Africa. This is how PEU was formed. PEU is an accelerator that focuses on investing in female farmers. I'm taking years of experience, networks, mentors, and putting them into a program where I will help female farmers, firstly in South Africa, then in other parts of the region, to accelerate what would probably take 5 to 7 years into a shorter program to make their farming sustainable. Today, women stand as much a chance as men to make farming a success. Advances in technology are helping us reimagine how we think about food. Farming decisions will soon be made possibly by machines. So, next time you meet a female farmer, don't ask them why. Farming is hard. Rather think about your relationship with food. Think about the farmers who grow it. Seek out the female farmers amongst them. Support them. Thank you.